name is Tess, and today we're journeying out into the countryside on a singular mission. Dating old barns. Just because social distancing is ruining our dating life with humans doesn't mean we can't get down and historical with some old structures. Let's dive in.
Dotted over the Appalachian countryside are abandoned sheds and structures, remnants of a style of farm construction when the main barn was accompanied by a series of smaller outbuildings for storing grain, equipment, and animals. Nowadays, many of these structures are decaying in place, as small-scale agricultural production is no longer as much of a profitable pursuit in this region, and their owners don't have a reason to repair them nor tear them down. However, to the rural explorer, they stand out as beautiful markers of the past within the landscape, and with the right knowledge of construction materials and methods, they can tell stories about the land. The Brown Farm at Heritage Park is an excellent place to begin building your visual vocabulary for how, when, and why these structures were built. Let's start off by looking at some of the materials used in the construction of this building to the right, a barn with an attached side shed. So in the construction of farm buildings, you're going to see two basic kinds of nails that are used, and nails really are one of the best ways for dating a building. Here, I'm just going to tell you ahead of time, these are what's called wire nails. So, the two kinds of nails are wire nails and steel cut nails. Wire nails are made from a piece of wire that is cut, and then the top is pressed into the shape, so you get this round shape right there. Whereas steel cut nails are when you take a sheet of steel, you cut it into strips, and then you form those strips into a nail using a machine, or in the case of really old buildings, with a blacksmith. So between the years of 1890 and 1910, wire nails went from 10% of all the nails being produced in the US to 90%. So that is a really dramatic shift. And because of that, nails are just a fantastic indicator of what time period a building is from. So you can tell here, this building was made in the 19th century. Secondly, foundations. Foundations, well, they're a little bit more nebulous. They're another good way of telling when a building was built. So you can see on this front patio right here, we have cinder block. And then also, on these sides, we have little cinder block walls. So, like I said, concrete is a little bit more of a nebulous time period, but it does indicate that this is a newer building. However, there's a discrepancy because if you look right here, this building has a stone foundation. So there's no reason for them to do part of the foundation in stone and the rest of it in concrete, and that tells you that this building right here was probably constructed before the rest of it was put on. So we're already starting to put together the small timeline of when the buildings were built and added onto on this site.
Let's talk about the structure of these buildings.
So these silos that you see here are probably the most distinctive part of the site. You can see them as you're walking in from the Huckleberry Trail, and they tower over the rest of the structures here. But why are they here? Why not literally anywhere else on site? The answer to that gives you some more details about the buildings that aren't even here anymore. So if you look over here, you can see this concrete slab. And just by looking at it, there aren't really any details that tell you what it is, but the fact that it's by these silos tells you that it was probably the barn where the cows were kept. Because these silos were probably used for silage, which is just like hay that's chopped up and then laid down in there before it even gets a chance to dry. And so you would have feeding halls that were coming off of this that you could get the hay from and then just distribute from them to the cows, and they could eat it from there. Right now, we are in the dairy on site, and it's one of the newer buildings, which you can tell because it has a concrete floor, it has these cinder block walls that were then covered up in plaster, and it also has a circuit box and electricity running through it that looks original. So, how can we tell it's a dairy? A dairy, by the way, is a place where they would store milk so the cream could settle out before it was shipped out to people. So, how can we tell it's a dairy? Well, we have these whitewashed walls that we're trying to keep a sanitary environment. We also have this sink right here that adds into that even more. And if you come with me outside, you can see the sticker right here that says that it's sanitary milkhouse equipment. So never underestimate the power of paying attention to details. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed our dive today into the sensual world of dating barns. There's so much you can learn about the story of a landscape just by knowing some starter information. Now, go forth and show some old barns some new love. And then start pointing at things. Tell me when you start.
It started.
So many owl pellets.
I hope you enjoyed our dive today into the central world of dating barns.